Hello, everybody, and welcome to this first OEBcast of 2023. My name is Lise de Klerk. I am the OEB Conference Program Manager, and today I would like to introduce you to our speaker, Valeria Fomina. Welcome.
Hello, Lise.
Valeria.
Hi.
Hello. So Valeria is a solutions architect and edtech specialist at Cypher Learning, and has over 7 years of experience in education field. Prior to joining Cypher Learning, she has been a university administrative manager, also academic coordinator, an LMS manager, and also a teacher. And at Cypher Learning, she is helping clients to integrate education technology into their teaching and learning, to create more effective, more personalized, and also more engaging learning experience. So this is the moment where I hand over to Valeria. Valeria, the floor is yours. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Lise, for the introduction. And hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all of you watching this webcast right now, and a very warm welcome. Thank you very much for taking your time to join us today. And as the title of the session suggests, today we'll be talking about the global digital economy, how it's transforming the way we live and work, how it's shifting skills that are needed, and what strategies academic institutions can implement to prepare students to thrive in a changing world. We'll be talking about digital curiosity and digital learning culture as part of a lifelong learning approach, helping our students succeed moving forward in 2023 and beyond. And in terms of our focus areas, we will be looking at skills development as one of the major areas of interest in these times of uncertainty, and we will be exploring what kind of skills can help students to be future ready and increase their global opportunities. We will also be discussing the discrepancy between the skills that businesses seek and those that recent graduates of universities possess, and we'll be talking about some strategies helping us to bridge the skills gap and approaches helping to promote skills development. If you've seen the sneak peek, you will know what those strategies are. And one of them is gamification. So we'll be talking about how we can ignite student engagement with the help of gamification. And throughout this presentation, we will also be discussing the role of educational technologies, in particular learning platforms, in supporting teaching and learning processes, promoting skills development, and fostering digital curiosity. This webcast will last for approximately 1 hour, and of course, in the end, we'll also have a Q&A session. So please feel free to leave your questions in the Q&A box at any time during the webcast, and I'll be more than happy to address them by the end of it. I would like to start by sharing with you this quote of the director of the OECD Directorate for Education and Skills, who said that education is no longer about teaching students something alone. It's more important to be teaching them to develop a reliable compass and the navigation tools to find their own way in a world that is increasingly complex, volatile, and uncertain. And I think that this quote really reflects what we are living now. We are uncovering a lot of unknowns as we are facing the global digital economy. And even though the goal of education has always been to equip students with the knowledge and the skills needed for the future, in the age of digital acceleration, it's increasingly difficult to predict what skills will be relevant even 5 years from now, which creates an interesting challenge for academic institutions. And the question that we educators are often asking ourselves is, how can we prepare our students for future life and work when the landscape of what is possible continues to change? We will try to find some answers today. But first of all, we need to understand very well who our students are, what motivates them, and what they've been through so far, because obviously they're now approaching their adulthood in a unique set of circumstances caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. So our current students that we have in academia now are millennials and Gen Z, with Gen Z being the majority. Let's go and get to know them a bit closer. Who are they? First of all, they are digital natives, especially Generation Z, that has grown up digital and has little to no memory of the world as it existed before the internet. So very tech savvy. They're also very agile and adaptable, constantly moving and learning on the go, using a lot of devices, doing things really fast. They want to have access to information, to education, anytime, anywhere, and they're very much purpose-driven. They also believe in diversity and inclusivity. They are realistic with their goals and independent. And these are the generations that will represent the majority of the workforce by 2025, according to predictions, and that already make up almost 50% of the workforce today. And the combined influence of these two generations is expected to dramatically transform the workplace. Millennials have already pioneered the way, and Gen Z is joining forces with a lot of similar values. And if we look at what's happening in the industry now, we are already seeing strong trends towards employee well-being, equity, diversity, and inclusion, personalized training, competency-based training, and in terms of modes of delivery, which are, of course, pandemic influenced, we're seeing microlearning, hybrid, and virtual learning environments. And this is the kind of environment that our current students most likely will be working in and that they need to be prepared for. But what about the skills that will be required from them to be able to operate in that environment? And just to set the stage for the skills development topic, here are some of the statistics related to skills. First of all, skill sets are rapidly shifting. As per the 2023 LinkedIn Workplace Learning Report that was released just last month, the skill sets for jobs have changed by around 25% since 2015, and by 2027, this number is expected to double. So yesterday's skills are expiring in light of increasing automation and digitalization. Today's skills are rapidly evolving. For example, collaboration in the new hybrid or virtual environment may require different rules of engagement. And future skills such as AI and machine learning are emerging. Secondly, due to the fact that skills are rapidly shifting, the skills gap is also widening. So 68% of C-suite executives say that the organizations see a gap between what candidates can do and what the role demands. And then lastly, from a modern student or employee perspective, the nature of work has changed as well. And it's no longer about finding a lifelong career, but rather about experiencing multiple workplaces throughout a lifetime. So on average, an employee will change their job 12 times, with many spending just 5 years or less in each job. And these jobs will not necessarily be within the same sector, of course. So knowing all this, how do we identify what skills can help our students to be prepared for change? There was a great piece of research from McKinsey & Company that identified 56 foundational skills that will help people thrive in the future of work. And as we can see, they're divided into 4 main categories: cognitive, interpersonal, self-leadership, and digital. And these are long-term projections that can serve as our reference. And if we look at what the current needs of employers are, again, going back to the 2023 LinkedIn Workplace Learning Report, among the top 10 skills that companies need most right now, we can find that the same foundational skills, such as communication and teamwork, remain critically important, especially with the ongoing prevalence of hybrid work. And hard skills are also on the list, although, of course, the full set of hard skills required will largely depend on the industry. Now, if we talk about the skills gap between higher education and industry, this will not be a new topic, of course. Conversations around the skills gap have been already happening for a long time, but as the pandemic has sped up digital transformation and technologies by several years, the nature of work is rapidly shifting, as we were discussing just now. And this also gets reflected in the current younger employee patterns, which are less stable than of other generations. So Gen Z, for example, tends to work multiple jobs. They tend to switch jobs faster. They tend to work independently more than other generations. And a study that was released a few months ago by Workplace Intelligence in collaboration with Amazon has found that 78% of current millennial and Gen Z employees feel that they lack skills to advance their career. Almost 60% are worried that their skills are already outdated, and 70% also feel unprepared for the future of work. And higher education here can become an enabler for such members of the workforce who need to upgrade their skills and knowledge to remain relevant in their careers. And also, it can equip those who are yet to enter the workforce. But why is there discrepancy between the skills that businesses seek and those that university graduates possess? Let's look at some of the skill gaps. First of all, lack of technical and digital skills. Many recent graduates lack the technical skills that are required for certain jobs, such as coding or programming, for example. And as technology becomes increasingly ubiquitous in all fields, such skills are becoming more valuable across a wide range of industries, making them an essential part of a well-rounded education. And for digital skills in general, businesses are often looking for candidates who are proficient in the use of latest tools and technologies. However, universities may not always have access to those technologies, or may not prioritize their use in the classroom. Lack of soft skills. Soft skills such as communication, critical thinking, problem solving, time management are also essential in today's workplace. And these skills are often not taught in the classroom, or maybe they're not prioritized. And even when they are taught and when students have multiple opportunities to practice them throughout their university journey, they don't really have an opportunity to measure those. So they often remain unmeasured, and this way students don't really know on which occasions exactly they practice that specific skill. And then also the last one is the lack of industry knowledge. So many recent graduates also lack the knowledge of the industry and the specific requirements for their desired job. And without having the necessary expertise, they may not be able to adapt quickly and may not be able to meet the requirements of their employers. So how can we bridge the skills gap? As a starting point, we may think about very simple yet thought-provoking questions. First of all, what skills are students currently being taught? How are students learning them in terms of practical experience? And how are they measured? And also, how effective are these skills in the modern workplace? And then, depending on our answers, we of course may start thinking what practical steps we can take to address the gaps. And in parallel with that, what I wanted to highlight in this session today is that what shifting skills and shifting nature of work require is the need to have a lifelong learning mindset. And to develop it in our students and to support their skills development, we could consider adopting the following strategies. First of all, foster a culture of continuous learning. This will help us to be sure that our students are forever synced with the needs of industry. And we can support bridging the skills gap by giving students opportunities for continuous learning and by allowing them to upgrade their skills and knowledge as and when it's required. The second one is promote personalized learning. As we all know, each student has a unique set of skills and knowledge, with one maybe excelling in interpersonal skills, but needing development in specific hard skills, and another student being skilled in a particular subject area, but maybe lacking teamwork skills. And as the demand for new skills grows, higher education can play a significant role in bridging the skills gap by providing customized learning experiences tailored to individual student needs. And it's not easy to do that in the classroom, but even with the shift to online learning during the pandemic, the modular programmatic approach was adopted in many cases. The third one is give students more control while providing them with needed support, tools, and resources. Professionals in the global digital economy cannot rely on being provided with solutions continuously. They often would need to take control and make difficult, complex decisions. And academia can assist current students in taking ownership of their learning, thus becoming better equipped to continue learning throughout their lives and careers. And the development of the skill of learning how to learn is essential for the professionals of the future. And what we can do as educators is provide the necessary tools and resources, and also support our students in taking more control of their learning process. And finally, spark curiosity and self-motivation. The use of cutting-edge technologies such as AI, machine learning, automation is on the rise, and it's expected that up to 30% of global jobs could be automated by 2030. And in light of these forecasts, it's evident that future jobs will require individuals who are constantly evolving and committed to ongoing learning. And encouraging curiosity and self-motivation in our students will enable them to be more proactive in their career development, and also will give them a competitive advantage in the global digital economy. And these strategies may be very familiar to you, and these are some strategies that many of us used to adopt in the pre-pandemic times in the classroom, but how the education is delivered has been changing a lot since 2020. And digital transformation created a lot of opportunities for us to also support these strategies online by using technologies. But how are we actually making use of these opportunities? And is this really needed? Let's have a look at how technologies were used in higher ed before and during the pandemic, and also see where we stand now in 2023. So before COVID-19, despite new technologies were present, the investments in tech mostly focused on deploying devices and connectivity, without much regard to their use by teachers and students for learning. It was more of a sporadic use, and the actual learning process would, of course, typically happen in the classroom. In 2020 came COVID-19, and we were forced to shift to fully online first, and then we started adopting the hybrid practices. And I think we all will agree that hybrid is not easy to do well, but the need arose to start adopting hybrid learning because a lot of students eventually realized that e-learning would provide them with more flexibility and that they actually needed in many cases. But then you would also find other students who would prefer the classroom experience. So here, the challenge really is to find a way to cover needs of all, to provide that flexible and personalized learning while also keeping the community element. And a lot of educators agree that technology can serve as an enabler of this. And many educational institutions had LMSs adopted even before the pandemic. But the issue is that for a long time, technologies have been used to support teachers more rather than students. And now we need to find ways to support students more as well. And now in 2023, higher education institutions are deciding which path to take next, to return to pre-pandemic practices or reinvent and rethink how we deliver education. And there was a very interesting virtual briefing from Gartner with predictions for 2023 on future of higher education, where all of these different aspects or dilemmas were discussed. In terms of teaching and learning, should we be back to the classroom or should we remain online or hybrid? In terms of qualification, what would be the balance between the degree and the credentials? In terms of our workplace as educators, should it be done remotely or on campus? Where our students will be located? Will it be locally or globally? And overall, in terms of value proposition, should we focus on academic research or on applied skills. And right now, there is a great variability in the positions that institutions are adopting in terms of finding their optimal position between these extremes. And higher education institutions are also evaluating at this stage how technologies can help optimize existing practices and also potentially support transformation and innovation. So why would we consider leveraging technologies and resisting old practices when coming back to campus? There are two drivers of change that I wanted to mention. First of all, student behaviors are shifting. More and more students require flexible pathways for learning with focus on skills that are needed for their employability. As more and more students combine their studies with part-time or full-time work experiences, in many cases, they prefer to learn theory online rather than on campus. However, they may still value coming to the campus for other things, for example, to collaborate with their classmates on group projects. And this shift in behavior is being observed in many institutions around the world where the classrooms are empty, but the campus is full. And it looks like the hybrid learning is here to stay, although, of course, a lot of factors must be considered to make it work holistically, and it will certainly take time. Flexibility is also crucial because students are demanding that education rotates around them and not the other way around. And MOOC providers have been addressing this need for over a decade already. And higher education institutions are also recognizing this need now, and they're starting to deliver and design first and then deliver micro-credentials to support student needs and also support their employability. This was the first driver. And then the second driver is that technology can help to make individualized and self-directed learning possible and easy for students. And when technology is available, it really alters the relationship between the educator and the learner. And there are two ways in which we as educators can perceive this information. One can be that machines are taking over our jobs, so perceiving automation as threat, or we can think that technology can be our partner as well. It can support our current processes, it can make our jobs easier, it can give us time to focus on covering individual student needs, and also maybe even create some space for innovation. And this can be done in a variety of ways. For example, by adopting chatbots, by providing personalized instructions or recommendations to each student or professor, depending on their individual profile of expertise. And there are some other strategies that we can also implement that I will be discussing today in this session. And Gartner has recently made the following predictions as to what trends will be prevalent in the higher education area in the next years, which I thought I would share with you. So first of all, by 2027, over 60% of higher education institutions will adopt a hybrid operating model. That's the first one. The second one is that by 2026, RPA, which is robotic process automation and AI, will enable universities to improve student experience while reducing staff and faculty ranks by over 20% per full-time student. And then also by 2026, at least 60% of universities globally will supplement degree education with industry co-created credentials to support student employability. We are, of course, at the very early stage of all of these trends, but we shall see in a few years which of these predictions will actually come true. And as we started discussing how powerful technology is becoming and that we can do so much more with it, at this stage, it would be great to hear from you what is the main e-learning challenge that you are facing now in your practice, in your teaching practice, if you are a teacher. You should be seeing this poll on your screens right now, and also the options. And if there is any other challenge that you're facing that is not available as one of the options, please feel free to comment in the chat. I will give you some seconds to vote, and then we will see the results. I actually asked the same question at my OEB live session that took place a few months ago, and I still have the results saved on my Slido, so I'm really curious to see what has changed since then, or if there's been any changes. Just a few more seconds for you to vote. So the options that you should be seeing on your screens right now are keeping up with EdTech trends, making students more engaged and motivated, maybe making content more relevant and applicable to student needs and interests, or maybe it's just finding the most suitable learning platform or authoring tool. I can see there are some questions already from the participants in the chat. Thank you very much for sharing them. I'll definitely be addressing them all by the end of the session. Yeah, so one great question is how can we practically spark curiosity and self-motivation? That's really the main purpose of my session today, to be able to answer that question. We'll be moving to that topic right away. But before that, I can see that the results are already here. So the one that scored the majority of answered, 52%, is actually the second one. So making students more engaged and motivated. And that was the result that I received also at my live OEB session. So our main challenge is really how can we engage our students and motivate them in the digital environment, because obviously it's much easier to do it in the real life classroom because we can see our students, we can interact with them. But what can we do at a digital level to support them as well? Thank you very much for sharing your opinions. And this leads us very nicely into the main topic of this discussion, which is fostering digital curiosity. What are the practical ways to spark that curiosity in our students with the help of a learning platform? So as we discussed a bit earlier, what higher education could do to bridge the skills gap and develop a lifelong learning mindset in students is give them opportunities for continuous learning, provide personalized learning, promote also student agency, and prepare self-motivated learners. And all of these strategies actually contribute to student curiosity. But how do we also support these practices in the digital environment? In other words, how do we foster digital curiosity, and what are the actual steps that we can take? First of all, we can start thinking about ways to create a student-centered learning environment that is focused on skills development, where we put our students in the center and we start designing learning programs for them, and we think about their needs and interests. And when students have an opportunity to have their own learning goals, this is when they feel most empowered, and we'll be talking about that in this session today as well. But around that, we may consider these key three components that we can start applying in our classes, which are adaptive and personalized learning, competency-based learning, and gamification. Why adaptive and personalized learning? I believe this is the key factor in driving digital curiosity, because students are often disengaged due to the fact that for a long time, programs were delivered in the same way. That was very structured. Students would go from lesson 1 to lesson 2 in chronological order with no room for personalization. And that approach was really focused on supporting the teacher more rather than the student. And if we start adopting adaptive and personalized learning practices, students will naturally feel more curious because depending on how they progress, they will be seeing more relevant content and activities for them. Competency-based learning is another key component in driving digital curiosity. If we follow a competency-based learning model and we integrate different competencies with different elements of our subjects, this will allow our students to see how well they're mastering those competencies, and then they will be seeing an overview as well across different subjects that they're taking. And we can involve adaptive learning here as well. So the platform could actually provide personalized recommendations based on the current competency level that the student has. So it's not really only about grades at this stage, it's about students knowing, okay, these are my strengths in this subject, and these are my weaknesses, and this is what I could potentially work on. And gamification, well, as for gamification, we all know that this is the technique to foster curiosity and engagement. But what we can also do is we can actually link gamification with skills development as well. So not only reward students for doing a specific task, but also reward them for mastering their competencies, for engaging with other students, for achieving their own learning goals. And games can also be tied to employability skills, future-ready skills that students are developing across different subjects. And let's have a closer look at each of these elements, and let's look at the practical steps. Let's start with adaptive learning and personalized learning. First of all, what is the difference between these two? Personalized learning refers to any customization that a teacher can make within their class, while adaptive learning refers to a technology that supports personalized learning. So it actually would allow you to monitor student progress in real time, and then the technology would basically adapt the instructions based on how they progress. So the whole process will be automated with adaptive learning with the support of technology. And the idea behind adaptive learning is that there is typically a computer algorithm or technology. This will be a method such as AI, but not necessarily. This can also be based on automation that would allow you as a teacher to tailor fit your teaching style to the needs of your learners without the need to do it all manually. So there is this framework where students would move from one activity to another based on their progress from previous activities. So it's this if, then, else framework that we can see on the left-hand side. And in order to make adaptive learning work, we need to consider three different elements, which are content, blueprint, and technology. Let's start with content. So to start to adapt your content, you can ask yourself the following questions. First of all, what is that stimulates student learning? What kind of content and assignments do you need? Do you need videos? Do you need images? Do you need text? Do you need podcasts? Do you need AR, VR? Do you need interactive exercises? So anything that may be relevant to your learners. Then also, how are you going to deliver the content? So what would be the mode of instructional delivery? Will it be synchronous or asynchronous? Maybe it will be hybrid. And also, how is the access going to be? Will it be at students' own pace? Will it be preset time? Will it be drip? So opening automatically every week, for example? Will it be in a specific order or in any order so students will be able to choose? Will it be sequential? So all of these different options that you can evaluate as well. And an important note here is that with adaptive learning, the same content or assignments that you already have can be presented in different ways for your students. So you as a teacher may not have a lot of time to adapt or modify your lesson plans. So that's a very important point here, that with adaptive learning, you can allow students to go through the same content or assignments just in different ways, like we're seeing in this picture. So for example, based on students' results in the formative assessment from Unit 1, if they demonstrate a high level of mastery of competency, then they will be moving to an enrichment assessment to enrich their knowledge even more. Or maybe they need some additional help and they haven't demonstrated that necessary level of competency. Then they can be suggested another type of assignment, which can be a corrective instruction, a parallel assessment, and then once they've reached the required level, they can be given also an enrichment assessment as something optional. So that would be the way it would work. In terms of blueprint, So for blueprint, you can create a diagram. Again, you can see an example in a picture. Then can help you to visualize the movement and the conditions that you want to set within your class. So the main question here is, at what condition would your student move from one activity to another? Or it can be content or it can be assignment. So in this case, we're seeing that the condition for quiz 1 is the fact that the student gets either above 50% or below. So if they get above, then they will be able to progress to lesson 2. If they get below, then maybe they will watch a video and will do a practice quiz before they progress. And when it comes to technology, it's just a matter of evaluating if your current tool supports adaptive learning technology. It would be helpful for you to ask yourself the following questions that you can see on the screen. For example, what useful data can the platform provide you in terms of student progress and how they respond to lesson and activities? Does it allow you to design content with numerous options for structuring your content, creating learning paths, and access options for students? What is the degree of adaptability and capability of your current solution to positively reinforce student learning? Does it offer a feature that allows varied feedback mechanism? And does it have the ability to overall perceive student interactions and execute automated actions and conditions based on that? And of course, how easy it is for you to use this technology, how easy it is for you to use the platform on a daily basis and to program all of these automated actions that you would like to be executed. So this was adaptive learning. Now let's talk a bit about competency-based learning as well. So competency-based learning is really the foundation for effective skills development. Why? Because competency-based learning focuses on individual competency, as we've been discussing before. And it would allow students to measure their performance not only in terms of their grades, so not only in terms of quantitative assessment, but also in terms of competencies that they're mastering, so qualitative assessment as well. So what you could do as a teacher on a learning platform that supports competency-based learning would be, first of all, create and upload sets of competencies or skills that you want your learning materials to cover. Then you can align your existing content and assignment with those competencies or skills, and you can see a coverage analysis of how well your classes are covering them. Then when your students start progressing through their lessons, you will be able to track their progress and see a detailed view of how well they're understanding and learning these new competencies or skills. Again, we can see an example in a picture. And finally, you can also use automation to trigger different kinds of actions. For example, when your students need help, you can be notified by the system automatically, so you can provide some support to your students online or offline in the classroom. Or you can also reward students if they're doing great. And speaking of rewards, gamification is something that can work really nicely in conjunction with both adaptive learning and competency-based learning as well. And first of all, just a simple definition of gamification. Gamification is not an actual game, really, but rather the application of gaming mechanics to non-gaming environments to make difficult tasks more enjoyable. And gamification is basically understanding our students, what motivates them, and then using that information to create better experiences for them with the help of these game elements. Gamification in learning is a well-established trend, and e-learning is ideally situated to leverage it because the digital interface is highly adaptive and it also offers instant feedback to students. And if we look around, gamification is really everywhere now. My smartwatch is gamified, so every day when I make my 10,000 steps, it tells me, hey, mission complete again, well done, here's your badge, here are your points. And it's not that I could really use these points somewhere or badges, but it's still a little extra motivation for me because this is how our brain works. We do something well, we get rewarded, and then we want to do it again. We want to keep progressing. We want to keep the same high level of standard. And it would work the same way in learning. So gamification is just a little extra thing that can be added to the learning process. It can stimulate students to spend extra maybe 10 to 15 minutes, watch a video, maybe take a test to get some additional points, advance on the leaderboard, and maybe get a kind of a prize in the end. And let's have a look at some of the benefits of gamification. Well, before we look, let's look at the benefits here first, and then we proceed to the actual practical elements of gamification. So in terms of benefits of gamification, first of all, it's increased engagement and motivation. So gamification can provide our students with a sense of accomplishment and reward that would help them to stay more motivated and engaged with our learning content and assignments. Secondly, improved knowledge retention. So through the use of rewards and achievements, gamification can also help us to keep students a bit focused during a bit longer period of time, which can also support more long-term knowledge retention. Improved collaboration. We can also use gamification to encourage collaboration and competition between our students and fostering a sense of community within the digital environment, which is a very important aspect. And then overall, just enhance learning experience for them with the help of gamification. So gamification can help us to make learning more enjoyable, more exciting, interactive, and immersive for our students. Now let's look at some of the elements of gamification that we can use in the digital environment. First of all, in terms of rewards, as our students complete activities or tasks related to their learning, we can reward them with points and badges. And as they accumulate enough points, they can also level up. So we can also create levels in our games. And they can also receive some other types of rewards to recognize their achievements. For example, these can be certificates, or these can be coupons or other kinds of gifts. Students can also get rewarded for collaboration with other peers. How this can be done? For example, by creating teams within our gamification. So students can actually compete in teams, or we can also gamify things like Q&A forums, for example, where students, by participating, by replying, can get additional points or badges. And this would reward students for collaborating with each other and would also create the bigger sense of community for them within the digital environment. Awards such as badges and certificates, if they're linked to competencies or skills, can also serve as digital credentials. And they can further be used by students to demonstrate their proficiency in a particular subject or maybe a particular competency or skill to their potential employers. And we can use some other elements such as leaderboards and periodic leveling, for example, to keep everyone engaged a bit more as well. So when it comes to leaderboards, they would allow students to see how their other peers are progressing. And periodic leveling would basically mean that everyone would start back at zero at the beginning of each month or maybe each week. And overall, gamification would allow us to shift student mindset from perceiving learning as a chore, would help us to make learners a bit more engaged with the content and activities. And when they are more engaged, they are more likely to master their skills faster. So we discussed these three components, and these are some strategies that we as teachers can already implement in our classes to foster digital curiosity. But if we think about creating a truly student-focused digital learning ecosystem for our students, we would also need them to be able to set up their own learning goals, to have that self-directed learning element as well. And this is where an intelligent learning platform could truly empower and support students in their skills development journey. So what we call an intelligent learning platform at Cypher is a platform that combines the features of an LMS, a learning management system, and also an LXP, a learning experience platform, and incorporates elements such as learning goals, recommendations, automation, and analytics to provide a smarter and a more competency-based learning experience for our students. It basically tells students, hey, if you're interested in getting this particular job when you're out of the university, you can set it up as a goal. So these are the competencies or skills that you may need for this specific job. This is what you've done so far in your university, and this is the current skill set that you have, and this is what else you can do to achieve a higher level of competencies. Or if a student wants to master a specific competency, for instance, it can be a technical one, then in this case, it would work the same way. Again, the system would measure the current student level, and it will tell, this is your current level, and this is what you can do to improve it. For example, you can take this micro course, or you maybe can join this group of students who are expert in this subject area. And it basically allows you to combine teacher-directed learning and self-directed, student-directed learning for students. So how do we foster digital curiosity with an ILP? First of all, students have the opportunity to have those personalized automated recommendations that are based on their goals, and their goals can be their career aspirations, so job-related, or just competencies that they want to master. Students can also determine what is their current skill level, and the automatic skills gap analysis will be performed, and the system will guide them on what next they can do. The students will have a flexible and gamified skills development journey all throughout their university career. And overall, what an intelligent learning platform can do is it can support that habit of lifelong learning in students, because at any moment, they will have that opportunity to set up their own learning goals as well and progress towards them as and when it's required. So now I would like to do a very quick demonstration of what that journey can actually look like from a student perspective in an ILP. And as an example, I will be using our Cypher Neo product that is for schools and universities. So hopefully you are able to see my screen right now, which is the demo instance for the Institute of Science and Tech. And I have logged in as one of the students. His name is John, and he's doing his bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering. So typically, what I would see within my main dashboard would, of course, be the classes or modules or courses that I am taking in this university. So if I go into any of them, for example, this one, aerospace structures and materials, I will be able to see what lessons it consists of. And typically within each lesson, I will be able to find some theoretical content and also some practical content, so assignments that I need to take. I will go into one of the lessons, for example, this one on aerospace structures. And first, I will have some theoretical content available for me. So I can go through this content. I will be able to see this content in different formats. And what happened just now was that gamification was actually triggered. So I was awarded 25 points because of the fact that I went through my content. That was an easy way for me to get my points, but I would also be able to get them on other occasions throughout my class as well. So this content can be presented in different formats. This can be videos for me to watch. This can be something for me to listen. This can be a book for me to read. So anything that can help me to get familiarized with the content first. And then once I'm done, I will be able to proceed with my assignment. So this is an example of an assignment, which in this case is a very quick 5-question true or false quiz that I will take right now. Hopefully I will get the answers right. I'm quite familiar with this area, so let's see. So for this one, maybe it's true. I really need to get the answers right, because these would be, based on this, I would be receiving some personalized recommendations. All right, and then the last one, maybe this is false. So once I'm done with my quiz, what would happen would be that I will receive my overall result right away. So I will be seeing what is my current grade. In this case, it's 80% out of 100, so quite a good result. And what I've also received is the personalized notification from my professor that says that, "Hi, Jonathan, well done on completing this test. You've shown a great progress so far, but some of the answers were wrong. And as the midterm exam is approaching, here are some of the personal recommendations for you to improve your current level." So first of all, I could go and check the resources area of the class, where I can find a video and the PDF on this topic. And then after that, I'll also need to complete a short essay, and my teacher will provide me with a detailed feedback. So that should be linked in a notification. And also Zolt, who is my course professor, has his own profile on the learning platform, so I can easily get in touch with him by sending him a message whenever it's needed. And also what happened was that I was awarded this badge. And this was due to the fact that I was improving my competency across different assignments that were measuring it, including this test. Now, if I go to my resources area over here, I will be able to find the video that my teacher told me about. I can watch it, and I can also look at this PDF. I can also go through it. And then once I'm done, I can go back to my notifications, where I should be able to find my new assignment, my new essay to complete. So this is my essay. And then whenever I'm ready, I can prepare my answer and then receive feedback from my teacher based on its results. And hopefully all of this will help me to be fully ready for my midterm exam. Now, when talking about mastery, if I wanted to see what are the competencies that I'm learning in this particular subject, I can go into the mastery area. So this would show me all of the competencies that are being assessed in this specific subject. And I can see what my ratings are. As I've just started taking this course, obviously most of them are blank, but as I will be progressing through each lesson, these will get filled up with different ratings as well. And when it comes to gamification, I will also be seeing my status in the class game here on the right-hand side. So I'll be seeing the leaderboard, I will be seeing top 5 students in here, also different teams that are participating in gamification. And if I wanted to get more details, I can actually see what are the levels in this game, what are the other badges that I could potentially gain, and what are the other types of awards that I can get as well. This can include more description, and this can also contain maybe a kind of a prize in the end of the game for those who reach the highest level, maybe. So this is within one of the subjects, but also, apart from the classes area, I also have this goals area available for me as well. So here I have the possibility to set up a new learning goal for me, which can be a job or a set of competencies. So I will select job first. As I'm a bachelor student who is studying aerospace engineering, it's very likely that I would like to become an aerospace engineer in the future. So I can select this job title here, and I can add it as my new goal. So once this has happened, I will be seeing it as my new active goal, and the platform will tell me right away what is my current mastery level towards this goal, this dream job that I have in my mind. And if I click on it, I will be seeing what are the essential skills and competences and knowledge, and also the optional ones that I may need for this specific job that I want to have in the future. And I will be seeing what my current mastery ratings are. if I wanted to see in more detail where all of these ratings are coming from, I can actually see what classes that I've already taken in the university have accessed that competency or skill for me. More than that, I also have the recommendations area available here for me. So the system will also tell me what else I can do to reach a higher level of my competencies and skills. For example, I could take this class on fractal geometry, or maybe I could join a group of alumni of our university who are working in the aerospace industry so that I could get some expert advice from them. Or maybe I could join this NASA Research Center visit, where again I can gain some relevant knowledge. And apart from that, I also have the Q&A forum available with other students who also have this dream job in their mind. So here I will be able to exchange my experiences and opinions, share any relevant information in this area. And this can also be gamified. So I may get points and badges for my contribution. And also, when it comes to competencies, what can happen is that maybe I would like to master a set of competencies that are not directly related to my studies, but I still want to learn more about them. For instance, I mentioned technical skills today, so I can select programming, for instance, as one of my goals. So if I wanted to check what I need to master these programming competencies, again, I can click on this goals area. Obviously, it says 0% of mastery because I haven't done anything related to programming. I have no idea. But again, it will tell me what are the competencies that are needed for programming. And again, it will recommend to me some useful content, which can be classes that I can join, for example, programming for beginners, or maybe this group of JavaScript coders in our university. These can be internal recommendations in terms of courses, but this can also be external recommendations. So how we do it on our platform is that we actually provide integrations with different third-party content providers, such as Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, Go1, and these can also form part of my learning experience and of my recommendations, that ability to take those courses as well. I know we're running out of time, so this was a very quick demonstration of how competency-based learning, adaptive learning, gamification, and skills development could work together on a learning platform. And right before we move into the Q&A session, just to wrap it up, I wanted to share a very last slide to say that the main objective of my presentation today was to be able to show that technology can serve as our partner in empowering our students to enhance their skills and knowledge. And we can use its potential to help us design those personalized experiences that keep students engaged. We can also use it to support our students in improving their skills and getting better learning outcomes. We can also use it to help our students analyze what their current skills are and identify their areas of improvement. And overall, by also letting students to take more control over their own learning journeys. Thank you very much, and let's begin with the Q&A session. All right. I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat, amazing. So let's see. From Helen, how are our courses targeted to academic careers, or would any content be possible? That's a great question, Helen. Definitely any content will be possible. So you have an opportunity to create any sets of competencies you want within the learning platform. Although we also have some pre-built-in ones available that are in accordance with national standards. And the same would go for job titles. So the job title that I was actually showing to you today of an aerospace engineer and all of the competencies related to it are actually coming from the ESCO standards. So you can use them as well. How do you support social learning in an ILP? That's another great question. So for social learning, as I mentioned before in this presentation, you can first of all have games connected to social learning. So you can reward your students for participating in Q&A forums, for instance, but we also have different types of assignments that would foster student engagement and collaboration as well. For example, we have discussions, we have different types of debates, we have also team assignments available on the platform, and all of these can also be linked to gamification if you want. Obviously, you cannot replace social learning happening on the digital platform with real social learning in the classroom, but we have definitely a variety of elements that can support social learning in the digital environment as well. How to deal with resistance from teachers to adopt digital tools? That's another great question. Here I would say that anything new is always a challenge, right? So it can definitely cause some resistance from the teacher side. What I would say from my personal practice is that, first of all, we can show our teachers that technology can use to help them in their teaching processes. So for example, when it comes to quizzes, they can be auto-graded. So teachers would not spend a lot of time on grading those. And it will be very beneficial for them, especially for bigger classrooms. And then what I showed in relation to goals and skills development can also be applicable to teachers. So you can design a training for them that can be focused on the knowledge that they need to start adopting digital tools that would highlight those benefits. And hopefully with that training that you would provide on a platform, but also maybe in an offline environment as well, will help your teachers to gradually start adopting digital tools. How do we get this wonderful tool from Milton? Milton, thank you very much for this question. You can definitely get in touch with us. Our company is called Cypher Learning, and we'll be more than happy to provide you with a tailored demo to be able to show other possibilities of the product. That would be my main job, actually, to do that as the product specialist. Perfect. I believe that the time is running out. Unfortunately, I know that there are a couple of questions that I didn't have a chance to answer, but if that was the case, please feel free to get in touch with myself. I believe my email will be available somewhere in the description of the presentation, or by just connecting with us by going to our website, and I'll be more than happy to address those questions. And as I said to Milton before, to run a personalized demo for you as well, if that's needed. Thank you very much, Liz, for having me today. And thank you very much to all of the audience for joining and for interacting during this session.
Yes, thank you very much, Valeria, for this extremely enriching presentation. I really enjoyed it a lot. And thanks everybody also from our side for joining, for participating, for sending questions. But before we go, I just want to make sure that everybody has the date saved for the conference, which is going to happen in November, 22 to 24 November. We'll soon start with the registration, so make sure you are subscribed to the newsletter, because we will open up with some early bird rates. Thank you again, Valeria. It was a pleasure to have you. And thanks everybody for joining. And I hope to see you next time on the next episode. Thank you.